A very warm welcome to you all students. Today we are going to discuss about the five kingdom classification which was given by R.H. Whitaker in the year 1969. The kingdoms defined by him were named Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. The main criteria for the classification used by him included the cell structure, the thallus organization, the mode of nutrition, reproduction, and the phylogenetic relationships. So, this five kingdom classification is the most accepted, until now accepted method or strategy of classification of the living organisms. So the whole living world can be divided into five kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. In Monera, we include all the unicellular prokaryotic organisms. In Protista, we include all the unicellular eukaryotic organisms. In Fungi, we include the multicellular organisms which are plant-like but they do not have chlorophyll and they have a cell wall which is made up of chitin. These are basically saprophyte in nature. Then Plantae includes all the plants which are having cell wall. They are multicellular and they do have chlorophyll in them. And the last kingdom is Animalia, which includes all the multicellular organisms exhibiting different modes of nutrition. So it is clear that the all living organisms are divided on the basis of mode of nutrition or the cellular structure or the cellular number, that is either they are unicellular or multicellular, etc. Now in detail we have to study about the kingdom Monera first. So the kingdom Monera, bacteria mainly comprises of the kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganisms. They live in extreme habitats such as hot springs, deserts, snow and deep oceans, and many of them live in or on other organisms as parasites. Bacteria are grouped under four categories based on the type of their shapes. If they are spherical in shape, they are referred to as coccus. The plural form of coccus is cocci. If they are rod shaped, they will be known as bacillus. The plural of bacillus is bacilli. The comma shaped vibrium, the plural form is vibra. And the spiral shaped spirulum, or the plural is spirula. So some of the bacteria can be spherical shaped, some can be rod shaped, some can be spiral shaped, or some can be comma shaped. So we know by this time that not only they can live in different habitats, but also they are exhibiting different types of shapes. Now if we consider the mode of nutrition, they can be autotrophic also, that is they can synthesize their own food from inorganic substrates. They may be photosynthetic autotrophs or they may be chemosynthetic autotrophs. What is the difference between autotrophic and chemoautotrophic? Autotrophic bacteria means that they are having green color pigment which is similar to the pigment present in the green plants, and by the help of sunlight and water and CO2 they are capable of preparation of food. And chemosynthetic autotrophs are those bacteria which not utilize water and CO2, but they utilize some chemical compounds to prepare their food. Like they can be iron bacteria which will utilize the iron compounds to produce their food. or they can be iron sulfur bacteria, they can be sulfur bacteria, they can be nitrogen fixing bacteria, which are autotrophic in mode of nutrition, but unlike the green plants, they do not split water and use carbon dioxide. So bacteria can be of, among photosynthetic, they can be of two types. They can be photosynthetic autotrophs if they are having green pigment and they are using sunlight and CO2 and water to produce the food, or they can be chemosynthetic autotroph, that is they are utilizing the chemical compounds to prepare the food and they are not releasing oxygen because they are not utilizing water. Now a vast majority of the bacteria are heterotrophs also, that is they do not synthesize their own food but they depend on other organisms or on dead organic matters for the food. Understood? So if the question comes that the bacteria are mostly, so they are mostly heterotrophs, that is they do not synthesize their own food but they can be either parasitic or they can be saprophytic in nature. Carl Richard Woese was an American biologist and biophysicist who classified the monorans into two groups, that is Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Archaebacteria means, the word Archaebacteria is derived from two words, archae plus bacteria. That means archae means primitive or old, and Eubacteria means eu plus bacteria, that is true bacteria. So basically Carl Woese divided monoras into two groups. Archae means those bacteria which used to live in very harsh climatic conditions of the earth prevailing earlier history of the earth, and Eubacteria were comparatively more advanced group of bacteria which are prevailing in today's earth's scenario. So considering the Archaebacteria, these bacteria live in the most harsh habitat such as extreme salty areas. Such Archaebacteria are called halophiles. Hot springs, such bacteria are known as thermoacidophiles, and if they are living in the marshy areas, they are known as methanogens. Okay, so basically the Archaebacteria are the primitive bacteria which are adapted to live in very harsh and extreme climatic conditions and habitats, and they are basically of three types. Number one, halophiles or halogens, those that can live in extremely salty areas. Then thermoacidophiles, those that can live in hot sulfur spring, and the methanogens, those that can live in the marshy areas. What are marshy areas? Marshy areas जिनको we in Hindi we say like दलदल, ठीक है? So in that marshy areas. Now the Archaebacteria differ from other bacteria in having a different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. This means that how Archaebacteria are different from Eubacteria or present day bacteria. It is because they are having a very special type of cell wall which is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. Okay, so this question is frequently being asked in the examinations, that why the Archaebacteria are capable of adapting themselves in such a harsh habitats, and the answer will be that is because they are having a very different type of cell wall which make them very strong to survive under the harsh habitats, that can be salty area regions or be it hot spring regions or be it marshy areas. Understood? Now the methanogens are also present in the gut of several ruminant animals such as cows and buffaloes. What are ruminants? Ruminant animals जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं कि चरने वाले, ठीक है. तो cows and buffaloes, those are grazers. Okay, those who graze. So these bacteria are also present in the gut. Gut means the alimentary canal, okay, of the ruminant animals such as cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane, which is the biogas from which we can produce a large quantity of biogas and use it as a biofuel from the dung of these animals. So since the ruminant animals like cows and buffaloes are having methanogens in their gut or in their alimentary canal, so their dung, cow dung, can be used to produce methane gas, which is a biogas, very useful and eco-friendly biofuel. Okay, so archaebacteria are those that are the primitive bacteria adapted for harsh climates. Okay, and why they are different? Because of their different cell wall structure. One thing more, students, that the monerans are, as I told you, are all prokaryotic unicellular organisms. I hope you must be knowing what is prokaryotic means. Prokaryotic means that they are having no well-defined nucleus membrane. Okay, they are not having a well-defined nuclear membrane, plus they are not having many organelles except ribosomes. Okay, and they are different from the eukaryotic cells, because the eukaryotic cells are having a well-defined nuclear membrane, plus all the other organelles are also present in them. So monerans include bacteria, and both type of bacteria, either archaebacteria or the eubacteria, both are what? Both of them are unicellular prokaryotic organisms. Okay, now we have studied about archaebacteria. Next we have to study about eubacteria. So what are eubacteria? Eu word already defines the word true. Okay, so there are thousands of different bacteria, eubacteria or the true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of a rigid cell wall, and if motile, they are also having a flagellum. Okay, like you must have studied the structure of a prokaryotic cell. So the same structure is that of a bacteria also. It is having a cell wall, then the cell wall, which is basically made up of chemical substance, that is peptidoglycan. Okay, peptidoglycan, and then they are having the cell membrane. Inside the cell membrane they are having the cytoplasm, then inside the cytoplasm they are having a nuclear region. That means they are not having a well-defined nucleus. Okay, the nucleus in the prokaryotic cell is termed as nucleoid region. Understood? Plus they are also having some extra chromosomal material which are known as plasmid, and some ribosomes, and for locomotion they are having different finger-like or hair-like projections, those are known as flagella. Understood? This is a structure of, like you can see here, this is the structure of a bacteria, which is dividing although. So some of these organisms can fix the atmospheric nitrogen in the specialized cells called heterocytes. Example, nostoc and Anabaena. And they also play a great role in recycling the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur. You all must be knowing about the nitrogen cycle, in which the nitrogen fixing bacteria, with the help of specialized cell called heterocysts, they fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Fixing means what? That they are making the atmospheric nitrogen into a suitable compound which can be easily utilized by the green plants, especially the leguminous plants. Means that eubacteria are economically very important for the environment. They also play the role in cycling of the nutrients like nitrogen, then phosphorus, then iron and sulfur. Now, heterotrophic bacteria are the most abundant in nature. This question has been asked in NEET, that which type of bacteria is the most abundant in nature, and that is, the answer is heterotrophic bacteria. Now, the majority are important decomposers. Okay, among heterotrophic, you see, today in every house almost such a huge amount of wastes are generated. Okay, every hour all those wastes are dumped somewhere, and those waste can cause havoc to us if they are not decomposed by the bacteria, isn't it? So thanks to the decomposing bacteria, that we are capable of easily disposing the wastes. Otherwise the earth would be covered with all types of dead and decaying objects, isn't it? So earth will be a very foul place to live in. But thanks to these decomposers, that we are living in such a fresh environment. Then also many of them have a very significant impact on human affairs. That is, they are helpful in making curd also from the milk. Then some bacteria help in production of antibiotics. Some bacteria help in fixing the nitrogen in the leguminous roots. Some are dangerous also. Some bacteria, if they are having positive effects on human life, some are having negative also, like some are pathogens of serious diseases. Okay, and they not only cause diseases in human beings, but they also affect the crops also. They can also affect the pet animals also and the farm animals also. Like some of the bacterial diseases, are cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus canker, which is a plant disease. Okay, so that is the economic importance of bacteria, that is, they can be both useful and both harmful. So if you are asked to mention the economic importance of bacteria, you have to mention both. You have to mention the advantages of bacteria also, and also the disadvantages of bacteria. Okay, now if we come to the reproduction process of bacteria, so the bacteria grows mainly by fission. Okay, what is fission? Fission means simply a cell is dividing into two along with the cell membrane and the nucleus, and one cell divides to give two daughter cells. So that, like in amoeba, you all must have studied. So simply by fission, or under unfavorable condition, it can also produce spores. Okay, then a very primitive type of sexual reproduction is also found in bacteria, and that is known as conjugation. What happens in conjugation is that a DNA transfers from one bacterium to another. Okay, and this transferring of the DNA results in the exchange of the genetic material between the two bacteria, and the sexual reproduction is caused. Okay, so under asexual mode, there can be binary fission and spore formation. And if we have to talk about the sexual reproduction in bacteria, it's basically by conjugation, which involves the transfer of the DNA. Okay, you can see the dividing bacterium here. This is a simple bacterial fission reaction. Okay, now apart from bacteria, another type of organisms are also included in the kingdom Monera, and those organisms are called as mycoplasma. Okay, so monerans include unicellular prokaryotes like bacteria and mycoplasma. Now, what are mycoplasma? Mycoplasma are organisms that are actually the smallest living cells known. They are smallest living cells, and they completely lack a cell wall. ठीक है, तो बैक्टीरिया से कैसे डिफरेंट होते हैं माइकोप्लाज्मा? कि सबसे पहला तो इनकी सबसे छोटी साइज़ होती है, and they lack a cell wall, whereas we have studied that the bacterial cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, but the cell wall of the mycoplasma is missing completely, plus the mycoplasma are also prokaryotic in nature. They are also unicellular and they can survive without oxygen, means they are totally anaerobic in nature. And most of the mycoplasma are pathogenic, that is, they cause diseases in animals and plants. Okay, so under kingdom Monera, firstly it is divided into two parts, archaebacteria and eubacteria, if we talk about bacteria. And apart from bacteria, there are another organisms which are included in the kingdom Monera, and those are known as mycoplasma. Understood? Now one thing more, that the blue-green algae, also known as the cyanobacteria, are also included in the kingdom Monera. Okay, so cyanobacteria are also termed as blue-green algae. Firstly, they were grouped in the kingdom Plantae because they were having chlorophyll. They were similar to the green plants and they could synthesize the food in the presence of sunlight as similar to the green plants. But later on, with the invention of the microscope and all, it was found out that the cyanobacteria or the blue-green algae were not among the plant kingdom, because in the plants we group multicellular eukaryotic plants, but the blue-green algae were actually having prokaryotic unicellular structure, and we all know that the unicellular prokaryotes are included in the kingdom Monera. So actually the blue-green algae or the cyanobacteria are also a member of the kingdom Monera. They are also microscopic organisms, and they are freshwater or the marine habitat livers, and they can also live in extreme environments. Basically, the cyanobacteria are involved with the fixing of the nitrogen. Okay, they are basically the nitrogen fixers. Like we have studied, they are having simple cells called heterocysts like nostoc and anabaena, which held the fixation of nitrogen, isn't it? What is the importance of the blue-green algae or the cyanobacteria? That is, they were the first organisms to have the photosystems, and they produced the organic material and gave off oxygen as the byproduct. That means simply that the cyanobacteria were the first plant-like organisms which produced the organic food with the help of photosynthesis. Okay, but since they were unicellular and since they were prokaryotic, तो उनको plant kingdom में नहीं रखा गया, उनको किस में रखा गया? In the monerans. Okay, so basically the cyanobacteria were the first, because of which oxygen was introduced into the atmosphere of the earth. बाकी जितने भी बैक्टीरियाज हैं वो बेसिकली क्या होते हैं? कीमोसिंथेटिक ऑटोट्रॉफ्स होते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि वो ग्रीन प्लांट्स की तरह या ब्लू ग्रीन एल्गी की तरह प्योरली फोटोसिंथेसिस नहीं कर पाते, एंड दे डू नॉट utilize CO2 and they cannot split the water to release oxygen. Instead, they use chemical compounds like iron, sulfur, etc., nitrogen to produce their food. Okay, so all the bacteria are basically what? Chemosynthetic autotrophs, or they are heterotrophs, but the cyanobacteria are always autotrophs, and that too photosynthetic autotrophs. Okay, so that's why it was mentioned earlier that the bacteria can be of two types if they are autotrophs. They can be photosynthetic autotrophs and they can be chemosynthetic. तो जितने भी eubacteria हैं, they are all chemosynthetic autotrophs. Okay, and all the cyanobacteria are photosynthetic autotrophs, and they are also called as blue-green algae. So basically the kingdom Monera consists of archaebacteria, eubacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma. So this was all about the kingdom Monera. Thank you.